All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be breaking down the top prop bets for the two-game slate that we have on Friday. Let's go ahead and get into it. And so looking at the two games, guys, I think the best way to phrase it is that they are not low scoring, and they are two games that are expected to stay relatively close. We don't have to worry about, potential game script bets that we're running out based off of the point spread. Okay, 4.5 points. The Titans are favored to win by because they're going to be playing their starters a decent amount. The expectation is going to be that they're going to play more than they played last game. So they played two series. I think the expectation should be a quarter and then a half of the second quarter as well. And then from there, we have the Chiefs versus the Seahawks. The Seahawks are expected to play their starters somewhat. The Chiefs are actually going to sit their starters, which is a little bit different than what we have seen them do in the past. And so let's start this video out with just taking a peek at where we are getting some of the bigger prop line differences. Now, yes, we are concentrated on Friday. This is pulling in some prop bets for some other games. So if you guys like these, by all means, go ahead and target those. But just looking at the ones that we have for Friday, Brashard Smith, that's a big prop line difference. Obviously, we can take advantage of that one if that one's still there. And then Cameron Ward and Calvin Ridley are two interesting bets as well. For PrizePicks purposes, I do really like the over of Cam Ward for over 48.5 passing yards. And then you could stack that up with Calvin Ridley if you wanted to as well, because again, the expectation is that these two players are going to end up playing a quarter and then, or 1.5 quarters. Let's just call it that. And looking at this is a huge middling opportunity because yes, I do think I'm going to be more right about the playing time, but maybe they end up getting less playing time than I'm expecting. They could end up middling here. This is a good middling opportunity. The issue though, is I do think these prop bets are probably going to be bumped by the time most of you guys get in here. So I just want to talk about them generally as plays as well, because again, I don't know when these lines are going to be adjusted. I do know that they probably will be though, per some of the sites. So I do want to talk about the Titans as a whole though. I did think that they looked pretty poor in the preseason. In case you guys don't know, I like to go through and watch all the film from all the games in the preseason and regular season as well. And yes, the Tennessee Titans did not look good. Maybe that'll be a testament to really the Buccaneers being sharp and ready to go. We'll see that this week. Okay. I thought Atlanta actually looked good as well against Detroit. So yeah, it'll be a good test for the Titans, even if they are going up against backups. But Ward was able to be productive as well. I wouldn't say he looked great or bad in general. He was fine. He kind of did what you would want him to do as a rookie quarterback. 5 for 8, 67 yards and no touchdowns. Okay, so he's able to get to 67 passing yards while not playing that much. Okay, again, he is expected to play a little bit more in this game. Now, I am recording this video before the Thursday practices. Maybe something changes, but based off the information that we have, I do like the over bets a decent amount. And on some of these other sites, like for example, guys, on Pick 6, you guys can get Ward at 55.5 passing yards. Again, I'd be fine betting that over as well. And then I do think it's worth talking about like a site like Better as well. They're giving us Cam Ward 64.5 passing yards, so that's correct. But not every site is going to be giving us Brendan Allen prop bets as well. And I actually think he could be in for a good spot for us as well. Now, I do want to call it if you guys are interested in any of the better prop bets or any of the bets I'm going to call out here. Just use the links in the description below. I got sponsorship deals or partner deals with Underdog, PrizePicks, and Better. Working on another one here shortly as well. But that goes a long way in terms of helping the channel. And that's only if you guys are signing up for the first time. Take advantage of the discounts and promos that they have currently going on as well. But yes, let's talk about Brandon Allen a little bit further. So the interesting thing about the Titans situation here is that they let go of Tim Boyle because while Tim Boyle looked terrible, as I think most people would expect, and they brought in Trevor Siemian. So I don't know how much we're going to really expect Trevor Siemian to play. I kind of do expect Brandon Allen to get a bunch of work in this game. Now, we do have one slight concern. He does have a slight thumb injury or something like that going on. He was able to return to practice when he sustained that injury, so we're not worried about that. And so if he does end up playing a decent amount like we are expecting him, I do like him to get over 79.5 passing yards as well, because again, I do think it's going to be Ward, and I think it's going to be a half of football from Brandon Allen, probably picking up in the second quarter and then playing a little bit into the fourth quarter, which is basically what they did in the first week. But again, with them switching to Trevor Siemian, I don't know if they necessarily need to get a good look at him. So yeah, if we take a peek at Brandon Allen, guys, he did end up throwing the football a decent amount, and really the Titans last week threw the football a bunch as well, 33 total times. Okay, he only got to 62 yards. Again, they did not look good. That is a concern about betting the overs for the Titans. But I do think it makes sense why they end up throwing the football a bunch, a little bit too spread out, honestly. Look at that long list of players that they threw the football to. But it does make sense. They are trying to figure out kind of their receiver number 3 and just get their young receivers some reps. Okay, they do have 3 rookie receivers, and they got to kind of figure out which one is going to be the top receiver for them. Now, again, getting back into like Brian Allen, if you combine some of the production that Tim Boyle and Allen had, again, assuming he's going to get a little bit more playing time in this game, then he should be able to get his over. We would ideally then maybe want to stack him with another receiver, but I'm not really a fan of the receiving prop bets that we have out there. Like, we have 2 that are 4 tight ends. We know tight end production is very much, I don't want to say fluky, but more hit or miss, okay, because you never know if coaches are trying to get a better look at them in the run game and whatnot, or in the passing game. Helm would be someone we could target, but again, I don't really want to go there. The receiver I'd want to bet on the most is probably DK for them, who, again, I kind of think is their best rookie receiver. And so for the most part, I think we're just staying away from the rest of the Tennessee Titans prop bets that we have. If we were getting like Mullins, their running back, a bet for him, I'd be intrigued by that. He got 7 carries in that last game, and I thought he looked pretty good, kind of a more bruiser type running back, but showed enough burst there, and it does make sense for him to get some extended looks in this game because they're going to be without Tajay Spears in this game as well. So I don't think we're going to see much of Tony Pollard. That is something that, you know, in terms of like veterans, it just doesn't make sense to give your running back a lot of work. You know, they take a lot of hits throughout the season. So I think we'll see Julius Chestnut and then Mullins probably get a bulk of the work. Okay. And so if that does happen, like maybe we could get a good prop bet on him. I wouldn't do anything over 20.5 rushing yards though. I would assume that he's still going to get 7 carries though. So, you know, if we get lines for that, did want you guys to be prepared. So let's move on into Atlanta. I actually think that this is where we're getting our best edges. And so we do need to talk about Atlanta. They were not able to play a full game last week against Detroit. One of the Detroit players suffered a pretty bad injury, especially if you guys saw it on video. It's pretty ugly. Okay, so it makes sense why they ended up, you know, just stopping the game there at that point. Makes sense why the players wouldn't want to play. That being said, I do think that kind of changes the equation for the coaches a little bit there. Okay, they were not able to get some looks at some of the players that they probably wanted to get looks at. Okay, so there's some rumblings that Kirk Cousins might end up playing in this game. I don't know. I would say that'd be shocking to me at this point. We'll see. Again, I'm doing this video on Thursday morning. I'm sure we'll get news on that Thursday evening. If not, maybe Friday before the game. The thought would be that they're trying to make him more appealing for trades by playing him in a preseason game. And I'm like, I don't know if that's true. Like, what if he ends up playing terrible? Then he has like loses out on trade equity there. So I don't know. It'd be like risk reward there. Anyways, with that being said, I do still think we're going to see like a full half of football for both the quarterbacks, probably Easton Stick and Jones. But I do think there's probably a higher likelihood that Jones actually maybe gets a slight amount more of snaps in this game. Now, I'll tell you what I don't want to happen. I don't want him to start this game if it does end up being Stick and Jones. Okay, I don't want that to happen. I want him to come in the second quarter, maybe with a drive or 2 left, and then just finish out the second half. Because I don't want him playing against backups. I want him playing against backup practice squad players, because he is not known for really being a passer, although he did look good last week connecting with one of the receivers I'm going to mention here in just a second. But he is someone that can rush the football as well. We did see him get a designed rush that ended up being a pretty solid play for him overall. So yeah, he did end up with 2 rushes, which honestly, maybe if we get a rushing prop, we could think about betting on him. But he still went 4 for 5 in that game, 49 passing yards in that game as well. And that was just, again, in a quarter. You give him another quarter, then he does get his over there. And so I don't hate the idea of being on his over passing yards there of 73.5. And I'm not saying that we would have to, but I would say that would somewhat correlate with Easton Stick getting his unders as well. Just be on the lookout for that, because he is someone I could see the books potentially rising them up a little bit in terms of the lines that they're given, because, well, the passing game was pretty darn good for the Falcons. So the nice part about the Falcons in terms of the passing game is it was more condensed in terms of who was getting the targets. Okay, so we do see Drummond ended up getting 8 targets in that game. Chris Blair, 4 targets in that game. They played a decent amount. That is what is encouraging about them just in general. But the player I'm most interested in is Nick Nash. He was a player I was hyping up to you guys a little bit last week as well. And overall, he's just a player that, to me, looked smooth last week. I think that's the best way to reference it. You see it comes back to the ball a little bit there, was able to make a defender miss on that play, ends up hitting a shot here in the middle of the field, just a solid reception for him, falls forward. And this one also, just a solid play. We see a design pass play to him. You know, I love seeing a design play go to a player, because that tends to lead to a little bit more predictability in terms of the results. Now, I will say at 22.5 receiving yards, I do still think that that is a line we could attack. When I did my NFL DFS preview video for like DraftKings, it was at 18.5. So I'm assuming some of them have watched the video, some of the prop makers, and was like, yeah, we need to bump up his lines. I'm semi-serious about that. I do think someone is watching the videos and bumping up some lines. I think we have noticed that slightly. That being said, if you guys are someone that bets on a site like Pick6, so if you have a DraftKings account for NFL DFS, you could end up placing this bet as well. 18.5 receiving yards does seem to be a little bit too low. And again, I kind of like that as a stack with Jones, but I like this one probably the best individually as well, because just logically speaking, it's easier to give him more playing time, because I do think that they're going to want to give him an extra quarter as well. He really came in that third quarter, was not able to get that fourth quarter. They are looking for a receiver number 3. Well, kind of number 2, I guess, as well. Well, Darnell Mooney is banged up. So it might be Washington, it might be Drummond, it might be Blair, but might as well give the rookie receiver who has looked good some more reps as well to see what they have in him. And again, he did impress in the first week. I would probably still be okay betting on his over of 22.5 receiving yards, but might as well do it at 18.5. Now from there, what you guys are going to notice though in this game is we're not getting any running back prop bets. It was very frustrating, actually. I would have had this video recorded yesterday. I was kind of waiting to see if we were going to get running back prop bets, and then I saw them populate, both PrizePicks, Underdog, all the other books started populating games on Saturday as well. And I'm like, oh, okay, they're probably just skipping out on those lines for those running backs. And I think that's mostly because we are going to see a very condensed workload for the running backs, especially with the starters expected to sit. So Dotson is someone that would get a lot of work, and then Carter as well. Both of them showed some burst. Don't mind those two players, because you look at Carlos Washington, he ended up getting injured in that game. I think the expectation is going to be that he sits in this game. And so with that, with Algier sitting, with Robinson sitting, then you're looking at really 3 running backs getting a lot of work in this game, and really probably Dotson and Carter getting the most. And so again, kind of expecting them to get 7 rushes each. If their rushing yards come out to be about 20, I would probably bet the over. If it's anything more than that, really not worth it at that point. Most likely. It depends on if, we're getting middling opportunities and whatnot then at that point. So now let's go ahead and jump on into that Seattle versus Chiefs game that we have, the Kansas City Chiefs game. We know that the starters are not going to play for the Chiefs. Again, a little bit of a shock there. We do not have any confirmation specifically in terms of playing time. It does make sense for Brashard Smith to get a decent amount of work, and we do have, I guess, Underdog slightly bumped up their lines just now to 20.5. It does make sense for him to get a decent amount of work. It makes sense for Jalen Royals, who is someone that got a lot of snaps as well, to continue to get work. And Elijah Mitchell, I don't know if it actually makes sense for him to get a lot of work. Like, get some plays to Brashard Smith, who honestly did not look great. I would say in terms of the running backs that we saw play for the Chiefs, he looked the worst. And so might as well give him some reps, see what you really have in him. And Elijah Mitchell, who I did think looked like he could be ready to go if there was an injury, like, why mess with that at all? And so for the Chiefs, we're really not getting anything that we could feel great about going in on. Like Minshew, Bailey Zappi, don't know what the game plan should be for those two. Will they throw the football bunch? We just don't really know, because again, we typically see their starters play a little bit more in the preseason. So we're going to concentrate more on Seattle here. So we are seeing Sam Darnold. We're getting some lines for him. And now I do think that this is an interesting line, because I am expecting them to play, but not play a lot. Okay, so at the start of the week, the Seahawks head coach kind of mentioned that they would probably sit their starters because the Chiefs they'd probably play their starters because the Chiefs are known for playing their starters as well. So I was interested to see what would happen once we got confirmation that the starters were going to end up sitting for the Chiefs. Well, we're still going to get the Seattle Seahawks starters. How much playing time will that lead to, though, for the Seahawks? I'm assuming it's going to be like the Titans last week, were 2 drives. That's typically what we see in these situations. Is that enough for Sam Darnold to get over 55.5 passing yards? It is for sure. At the same time, we're not getting like an edge there. That just ends up being, does he hit a big play or not against some Chiefs backups? So I don't really want to mess with that one. Same thing goes for Cooper Kupp with his line of 16.5, especially being a veteran. Drew Lock, we're getting an interesting line on 93.5. Okay, so my assumption is going to be, again, Darnold plays 2 drives, Drew Lock finishes out the first half, and then we get Jalen Milroe to close out the game. And so I do kind of find the line for Milroe a little bit interesting as well at 81.5 for his passing yards. Again, I'm not really assuming that he's going to be the world's best thrower of the football. He does rush the football a bunch, but at the same time, if you end up playing a full half of a game with some decent pass catchers that you're throwing the football to, I actually don't mind this line. I think there could be a little bit of a spot where you're betting on Drew Lock under and then Jalen Milroe over again. Again, just kind of betting on the playing time, kind of like you would with Atlanta. But again, I don't see too much of an edge there. Not terrible though. And yeah, just looking at kind of the game log, we did see Drew Lock throw the football a bunch in that game, 22 times, and then Milroe only threw the ball 10 times. So I do think it does make logical sense for them to want to get a good look at Milroe. Part of the issue with Milroe was that they ended up rushing the football a bunch because they were able to rush the football extremely efficiently. One of the things that stood out the most to me about the Seahawks was really just the linemen getting good push, leading to the running backs all looking good. You know, it's always tough to gauge running back play when you have running backs that are able to get through the line of scrimmage without any defenders touching them at all. Now, George Alani looked good. He ended up getting 7 carries. That was a spot that we were on a decent amount last week. Damian Martinez was probably the player that looked the worst. Okay, I do think he looked worse than Tyus. I think he looked worse than Wright. I actually thought Jakari Wright there ended up looking pretty good. Ended up having a big play called back on a 3rd and 1. Now, it was a 3rd and 1 situation where the defense was selling out to stop that, short yardage play, and he just goes up to the line of scrimmage, then bounces it out for a touchdown. End up getting called back because of a hold, but a very good run for him there. And so we are going to see a decent amount of people are betting on George Holani to continue to have a good game. And I don't hate it, but at the same time, I don't necessarily need to go out of my way to target. Damian Martinez, again, it makes you get 6 carries. I think we're going to get 6 carries out of both those players. I would be fine betting on their overs, especially with the Titans defense looking as bad as it did. And all reports are suggesting that the Titans still look bad in practice as well. So I don't mind those. I would honestly just rather bet on Wright, assuming that his line's a little bit lower. Jakari Wright, that is, assuming his line is a little bit lower because he has less name value. That being said, I wouldn't talk you out of Martinez or Holani for over the rush yards. Their lines are basically the same across the board with all the sportsbooks that you are looking at. Now, one of my favorite bets for the game and really for the slate as well was already Nick Nash. I mentioned that, but also Ricky White. Okay, so there are 2 receivers that are listed as, or that have the last name White for the Seahawks, just as an FY. So hopefully I don't mix up their names. But hopefully you guys don't bet on the wrong one if we end up getting another line for that other receiver as well. But Ricky White ended up playing, guys, 23 snaps in that game, which was 4th amongst the receivers. We actually saw a very high snap share go to the Seahawks receivers. Horton ended up playing 28. Jake Bobo ended up playing 27. And then Young ended up playing 29 in that game. Young actually played the most snaps. So I was kind of hoping we'd get some prop bets for him. We are not. But Ricky White, it kind of makes sense for him to get some more work in this game because I kind of think Torrey Horton ended up showing enough in that game. It doesn't make sense for him to get extended look. I'm actually very curious for season-long purposes and best ball purposes. Will he be with the starters? MVS and him are kind of battling it out for that receiver number 3 spot. Okay, and I'm not saying I want to bet his under at all, but I am saying that line's pretty high to the point where I've thought about it. And I do want to talk about Elijah Arroyo as well, where he is someone that played a bunch of snaps, guys. He played 33 snaps. And it doesn't make sense for that workload to change at all. So I really don't mind him for his over there as well of 16.5 receiving yards. All right, guys, so we are about to get into the 9-5 bet of the day here in just a second. Do want to say, like the video, guys, that does help out a bunch. Subscribe to the channel if you guys have not done so before. If you guys would like access to the 9-5 PrizePicks optimizer, the Underdog optimizer as well, or all the prop betting tools that are available on the 9-5 website, as well as all the NFL DFS tools and fantasy golf tools, head on over to 9-5sports.com. Get access to all those tools for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. Also, just worth calling out, guys, if you guys are thinking about betting on PrizePicks, Underdog, or better as well, just use the links in the description below and use those promo codes. That's just a simple and easy way to help out the channel, and it really does not go unnoticed when you guys do that. Take advantage of whichever promo code is currently going on for each of those sites as well. But yes, we go ahead and get into the bet of the day here. Looking at the PrizePicks bet of the day, again, I do kind of expect these two to get bumped. Okay, this is a middling opportunity. I like it a little bit better on PrizePicks where we're betting the overs. Okay, if you guys want to bet the under on Underdog, you can there as well. Ricky White, though, for over 16.5 receiving yards. Again, that'll probably get bumped as well. I'd probably cap it at about 20 before I would think about not betting him at all. You can get his receiving yards line at 18.5 on Underdog, which is fine as well. So guys, for Underdog, only going to do one. Don't want to force a bet in there, but we are getting a 1 yardage difference here for Elijah, the tight end, the rookie tight end for Seattle. Okay, we might as well make the best bet possible if we can. Hopefully we get some rushing prop bets where we could feel inclined to bet on those as well on Underdog. Or you guys can just take a peek at the Underdog optimizer there on 9to5sports.com to place a bet in there as well. But to give you guys a bet slip that you guys can use for the Friday slate, I will toss in Brandon Allen in there as well. Again, I think he will play more than he did the last game and end up throwing the football a little bit more as well than he did in the last game as well. And then on pick 6, might as well mention Nick Nash for over 18.5 receiving yards. Again, I think it makes sense for him to get more run time in this game than he had last game due to that game having to be shortened. I think I'd be fine. Honestly, this feels like it should be at like 24.5. Like really should be higher. I do think the air yards are going to be there for him. Whether or not those leads to receptions, we'll have to end up seeing there. I would actually like him playing with Easton Stick a little bit more, but at the same time, again, you could run out a stack with him and Jones as well. I wouldn't hate that idea there as well. Now that's going to do it for this video. Make sure to give a like to the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys have not done so before. Again, if you guys would like access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Get access to those tools for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. Thanks for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.